So CIC, it stands for Cambridge Innovation Center. We are a full-service office space that provides all the nuts and bolts that go along with needing an office space in a 21st century environment. Internet, furniture, conference rooms, food, all the basic details that you need in an office, but are expensive or hard to do on your own, especially if you're a small or an early stage company. So we provide all these services on a month-to-month basis. It's really flexible for companies to come and go as they please. And what's really cool about it is that when we built this, our sort of goal was to make things really easy when you're working in an office. And I think we've achieved that, but what's really happened is that in so doing, we've created this campus environment that the community and the networking potential in this space is as valuable or more valuable than the actual sort of nuts and bolts of the office space itself. So we have, so in St. Louis, we have two facilities that are quite distinct from one another in some ways. We have CIC at CET, which is the name of our facility on the corner of Forest Park and Sarah Street, the old Doris Motor Car building. The facility has been around as an incubator for about 15 years, and it's always been known as the Center for Emerging Technologies. And that's a wonderful nonprofit that has been a sort of pioneer in the early days of the tech startup community in St. Louis.
Maybe even longer, like maybe 25.
Well, it started in '99.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in '99, as far as I understand.
That's pretty close.
And and so we came in a couple of years ago and effectively, so CIC came to town a couple of years ago and effectively partnered with the nonprofit CET and took over the management of the facility that they have operated, and that allowed them to really just focus on the programming aspects of their business and allowed us to create a CIC community space and environment that is our level of expertise. And we've been around now for just about 2 years. There are two. And then where I'm sitting here speaking with you is CIC at 4240. And this is a facility that is owned by a company called Wexford, which is a really important part of the Cortex community. And it's actually our relationship with them that predated our knowledge of what was going on in Cortex. So they are the ones who introduced us to the Cortex model and the individuals behind it, and ultimately brought us out here several years ago. So on the surface, CIC is a tenant in the building that we're in at 4240. We signed a lease, the way many companies sign leases, and we built out this space based on all the experience that we've had over the past decade or so in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We have 32,000 square feet in our facility at 4240 on Duncan Avenue. And combined with the space at CET, we have now over 100,000 square feet in St. Louis. And that was a pretty aggressive amount of space for us to take, having never launched in a remote city before, and having St. Louis being a rising but yet accomplished place for innovation and entrepreneurship. But we really had a lot of confidence in the partners and the leadership behind Cortex. This is CIC. It's an incredible space. It's a really amazing community. We have almost 200 companies as we speak who rent office space from us on a month-to-month basis. And that equates to somewhere in the ballpark of 500 people. And when you put 500 people all together representing different businesses, ranging from your very classic early stage startups and sole proprietorships to service firms representing CPAs and attorneys, all the way up to some Fortune 500, Fortune 100 corporates, there's just this chemistry that starts to sort of percolate, this alchemy you could even say, that starts to develop, where the whole is far greater than the individual parts, and so on any given day, there's just these opportunities for connection and connecting among all these people, and they're orchestrated not only through, fancy networking events and weekly programs like Venture Cafe, but they just happen by the subtle brilliance of a properly built out facility, where you have a single kitchen and one coffee pot, where it's a point of congregation. And
so did you design that venture?
we did. So we designed, yes. So we designed our facility. We designed every little piece of the space that we operate, all the way down to the door handles and the temperature control for the offices. We really, really sweat all the details that go into building our facilities. They really matter not only for the value of the community and the ability for people to connect more easily, but when you're working in an office, we've all worked in offices where the walls were paper thin, or you shared a thermostat with your neighbor. We have a wonderful staff, not only in St. Louis, but also in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where we're headquartered. And we have the whole kit. We have architects, we have designers, we have people who are experts on construction and leasing, and all the many facets that go into real estate and commercial construction and interior design. And it all starts with really sort of the eye and the vision behind the CEO of our company, a gentleman by the name of Tim Rowe. And this is somebody who really has studied for all of his career the connectivity of place, and you see it in every facet of our space, all the way down to the drawers in the refrigerator, and it's really fun when you care that deeply about things that other people sometimes take for granted. When you do invent something or discover something, people get really excited. The way in which you reserve a conference room here seems incredible to so many people, and we get there's a lot of fun out of that. We have offices that start at 28 square feet, and there's a reason for that. We think that density is a critical component to community. We think that if you are sophisticated in the way in which you build out a space, you can comfortably hold a far greater number of people in that facility than traditional minds might consider today. And so what happens is, in a place like St. Louis, where there are many centers of gravity, the city itself in some ways feels quite disparate. And particularly for entrepreneurs, there are places you can go in the city of St. Louis and into the county to start a company. And while there are some benefits to that, the flexibility, if you're trying to create a movement like we are here, you really need to come together to some degree. And so like Cortex, we're trying to pull things into this district, and just like that, I'm trying to pull them into this space. And so when you have a build-out like we have, you can get 2 to 3 times as many people on the floor as a more traditional build-out would allow.